Adrian Lang from Nelson Alarms.
Hey, Tony.
How you doing, Chief?
Doing great.
How's sunny Nelson today?
It is looking good out there.
Looking good out there?
Yeah.
So, mate, let's get into it. So maybe just briefly introduce yourself and explain your business, type of work, trade, size of team, etc.
Cool. Great. I'm Adrian. Run Nelson Alarms here in the top of the South Island in New Zealand. Great spot. We are in electronic security installation, and so we do things like intruder alarm systems, access control, camera systems, electric gates, intercoms, monitor alarms, doing building compliance checks, things like that, all in that sort of space. Currently, we've got 17 people, 7 in the office and 10 technicians.
And maybe we'll get into this. So Adrian and I have been friends for a long time now, and we've worked together for quite a while. And how long have we worked together, mate?
I think just over 4 years, Tony.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And Adrian's in our boardroom group now. And you're kind of a different guy, actually. And you've grown a lot, which has been amazing to see. So I'd love to talk about that a bit.
I think there's some music playing in the background.
Is there? Oh, there we go. Let's get rid of that.
I thought you just had some special vibe going on for me.
I did. Nah, it's I've got my iPhone here to play the music, but I just touched my iPhone when I was touching some other control. It's like landing a bloody space shuttle here. You know, yeah. you're like a muso, guy. You know what it's like.
Yeah, you're doing well, Tony.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like it's like a duck paddling underwater, I tell you. anyway, let's get back into it. So, what have been the big? Let's talk about what life was like before you joined the $1 Million Tradie and what you were looking to what you're looking to achieve and what you're looking to improve.
Yeah, I guess what I didn't mention before was we've actually Nelson Alarms is 30 years in business last year, and I'm too young to have started that. Not enough grey hair, guys. And so my dad kicked the business off, and I bought into the company in 2017. So I think it was probably a year before we sort of linked up also. Yeah. And at that stage, there was a lot of hangovers. I mean, the business was very established. It was running well, successful and things like that. But buying into the company, for me, it's probably a different story to a lot of you guys that have actually started your own company. But I know there are some other guys that started with more established. I started with a lot of debt, and so it was sort of coming into there and just realizing, hey, I can't just keep things going the way they have been, because Dad was on kind of cruise control. He'd done well, but I couldn't keep that same level of pace or momentum going, because I would never be able to pay things off and get ahead. That's kind of where I was at, and I can't even really remember how I came across Profitable Tradie, to be honest. But we ended up having that consultation, had a chat online, and I was like, man, this is exactly what I was looking for in terms of just about to crank things up. So,
yeah, cool. Well, let's talk about maybe the changes you've made in general over that period of time. And then maybe we might focus on the last sort of 4 to 6 months where you've gone supernova, super nuclear or something.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, back then when I first sort of took over, it was very much bank balance accounting. It was like catching up with the accountant at the end of the year. They'd give you a pat on the back and say, hey, well done, you've increased things by 2%, or, you've stayed the same, good job, and this is like, oh my gosh, this is just not how it should be. And spending too much time just on the stuff that didn't matter, to be honest. And so I guess in that stuff that we have put in place has certainly been around the financials. Measuring things monthly in terms of the KPI has been absolutely massive. Understanding what a profit and loss even is, how you read it. Is it actually real? Because ours was such a mess. It's like, I remember when we first started submitting that stuff, you were just like, that is just absolute rubbish. And I'm like, well, the accountant would just sort things out at the end of the year. And so we'd have this big gap of actually understanding, it was just garbage in, garbage out. And so actually just sorting all that stuff out has been absolutely massive for us, so that we can make real accurate decisions in a timely manner. And cash flow used to be a massive problem for us, big problem. Like, we're a reasonable sized team, and just takes a bit to keep the wheels moving. And you would end up so far out. We're real low on cash this month, and Dad, we need you to pop some money back into the company and just to keep things running so we can pay the guys and things like that. It's not a great place to be, and so that was that was us for a wee while.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the changes that you've made. Just really drill into them. You talked about the numbers a bit. Talk about maybe the team, what you've done leadership-wise, because I think that's been quite a big journey as well. I'd love to hear all about that.
Okay. It's sometimes hard to be able to self-reflect at times, but certainly, I mean, a focus on team and making sure that we're hiring the right people and not just that knee-jerk reaction of, oh crap, someone's resigned and we need someone, and so you end up getting the wrong person, and then it's that whole slow to hire, quick to fire thing, which I was never very good at. And so be like, oh, well, you're a tradesman with a pulse, let's get you in a van and off you go. It was just it was not helpful at all, because then you'd end up being two guys short. I'm sure everyone understands that whole thing. And and just really having the right people in the right roles, really, for me. Setting, we had an operations manager, but he wasn't the right guy, and so now we've got someone that actually. And so what I was trying to do was trying to manage everybody, and it's not the way to go. And so now we've got everybody reporting, all the technicians reporting to the ops manager, so I don't have to deal with any of those guys, and it's such a massive relief in terms of freeing up my time. But it's actually so much better. The guys are way happier. They'd often say to us in the exit interview or just in general, like, oh, who's my boss? Like, can't serve two masters type of thing, because it'd be like, you'll be telling me something and then someone else telling me something. And then when Dad was in the business, it was someone else, he'd chime in. And so it was just really having those clear responsibilities and job descriptions, and knowing, because, otherwise you could sort of go into, like some of the other guys have already said, you can go into other areas of the business where it's not even your job. That's been a massive thing over the last few years.
Yeah. And you've done a lot of work like building your team and structure for your team, ops manager, estimator and stuff. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, I think that's made a huge difference, hasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Mindset is because when I sort of came into the company, I mean, I'd previously been in the company probably 12, 13 years or something now, but so I'd been around a long time before I bought in, and so I've effectively inherited this large team of people, and then all these people in the office, and then Dad was always like, oh well, it's just all this overhead, and it's like, if you're in the office, it's an overhead, and more people, you need more people on the tools and stuff like that. Overheads is bad. Office admin is bad. Keep all this sort of thing. But it's because of that, it really restricted me from thinking, oh well, I can't get an estimator, or I can't pay my ops manager what he's worth because it's more overhead. And so really, PT has been really instrumental in terms of actually realizing you actually need these key roles to actually make things operate and function. Otherwise, you're trying to do everything and you're doing a half-assed job, and so it's just plain not working. But when you map it out and you go, okay, I remember probably 6 boot camps ago, say, doing that tradesman calculator thing of like how much you're actually earning per guy, and then how many people need to be under an ops manager and things like that. You're like, oh, actually, well. And then that actually reinforced, oh, okay, we're actually sitting okay for the size of company we are with how much overhead we have. And then talking to other guys and going, oh, well, we're not actually that far out, and things like that. Because otherwise you're insular and you're thinking, well, I'm just spending too much money and I'm not in the right zone. So getting that structure, yeah.
Yeah, that's so let's just jump forward a little bit, maybe talking about results.
Yep.
Because obviously, I mean, you guys have great margins, and they've improved a bit as well. And so, you're like mid-50s type gross margin. So it's a good margin business. And you've done a lot of work around actually back costing and being tighter with that, which I think has been awesome. But what I'd love to talk about is you were pretty static in revenue, for probably a number of years. And we're talking, do you mind me talking figures?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yep. So maybe 240 to 260, somewhere around there.
Yep.
But in the last 4 to 6 months, you've really exploded that. So where are you sitting now?
The average at the moment is just under 350 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So massive compared to where we were.
Yeah. What has made the difference?
I mean,
I've got a few ideas, but I want to know what you.
Yeah, sure. It seems, I was thinking, well, what is it? What actually is it? And going back and looking at the jobs rather than just taking a stab. But I think probably a big one was having the estimator in place, and then having so that my ops manager and my estimator are really key in terms of, and they actually always talking about GP percentages now. It's like I was initially, when I first joined the program, I'd be, I got to keep that to myself. I can't share that information with the guys. Now they're like, we need to be here. And so they're pricing for that rather than like, let's squeeze in just under where it should be. And so they're like, it needs to be here. So we're openly talking about that. The accounts manager who's billing it out is all on that same page. She knows her sales targets and things like that. But probably most importantly, doing the right type of work and identifying the type of work we should be doing and what is actually plain rubbish. I thought I was really smart early on, going, I'm going to drop labour only work and agency work early in the piece, which because typically you're not making it anything on there. You should be focusing your efforts into somewhere you can get some material margin percentage. But now we're like, okay, well, we could have been spending a guy for a day over here, but now we can, I guess you start doing big projects, and then those guys talk to other guys, and then before you know it, that's where the big change has been for us. We're doing a lot more big work that we never. It used to be like 1 or 2 jobs that size a year. Now we're getting multiple of them a month.
And your GP per tradesperson has gone up.
Yeah,
that's killer, man. How's life for you and Gemma and the family now?
Yeah, well, I think having that relief of the cash flow being more under control is huge, because I try and keep work at work, but it just niggles away, and then you end up getting short and, it does really affect you. And I just remember a couple of years ago being on a family holiday and just stressing and being on the phone to the bank, trying to get some short-term loans happening while I was driving down to the holiday. And it's not the place to be. There's kind of like maybe rock bottom type of thing where you're like, can I actually put the wages through? So at that point, it was early time in PT, but it was like realizing we need to sort this, this out. Having that sorted now, I don't have to worry about that. I guess something pretty recent actually was hearing through my estimator that the accounts manager last month was she was a bit funny. She was thinking, what's wrong with her? And she thought she wasn't hitting her target, and she thought she was about 100 grand short of her target. And then she came back after the weekend after she reconciled some stuff and realized she was above it, and she was happy as days. And we're like, she's not a business owner, but she's really taking ownership of that. And I was like, what a team! Like, they're the ones stressing about it on my behalf, knowing that it's going to happen. So I was like, that's amazing. But it wouldn't happen unless you gave them autonomy and gave them the information and let go.
Yeah, killer, man. Love your work. You've done a great job and grown so much. Last quick one. What have been the key mindset shifts for you?
Yeah, what do I have for this? Everything. I don't have to do it all or control over things. I think sometimes you can say, I'm not a micromanager, but you actually still don't allow your team to have the control they need to have. Others can actually do it better. I remember other guys talking about this, and I thought, that's good for them. But, others can actually do it better. Trust your team. They actually want the best for your business. And like Jenny and Jason, you were saying about that trust aspect. And it's like, once you get to that point, it's like, I can actually trust these guys. They actually want the best for me, and it's going to be good. And empowering them just to give them autonomy with their role, just to be able to succeed. Everyone wants that. And if you've got the right people, it's
killer, mate. Love your work. What I reckon is you're coming for the black belt.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to give it to you when you get there, man. Great work. Any questions for Adrian, Lindsay, and Debbie? Do you have any profit share or anything to reward that behavior?
We do some bonuses, but yeah, we do a couple of times a year, just a wee bit.
Yep.
Tied into
Glenn,
KPIs.
Yeah, Glenn, well done, Adrian, nailing it. Yeah, he's 100% is. But am I playing music again?
No, you're right.
Good. Oh no, that was from earlier on. What's the bonus structure? Is that a quick answer or a longer answer?
No, I can check something up on the page.
Yeah, check it up on the group. Yep. Everyone talks about the right people. How do you get these right people?
Hire process. You use the PT hiring process. Make sure you go through that. And don't think, oh, well, like I said at the start, knee-jerk hires never go well because you're skipping so many of those steps.
Yeah. And it's in the elevator program as well. So that's cool. Great question. Murray Nixon. What does your father think of the business now?
Yeah, well, just he doesn't really have to even talk to me about it. It's just, yeah, he loves it. He's thinking you got it sorted. It's fine.
Yeah. Because you've basically bought him out, right?
Yeah.
Killer. Awesome. Loving the story. Yeah. Proud dad. Yeah. 100%. All right. Good work, team. Okay. Adrian, love your work, man. Can't wait to hang out on Saturday. We're going to have an epic day.